Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD. And today we'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 329 of, My Hero Academia. And this was a pretty chill chapter, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of blown. I feel like I was kind of blue balled. Um, Rather uneventful. I can't even front. Rather uneventful. So before I get into the review, if this is your first time here on this channel, do me a solid, like, share, subscribe, bang that bell, join my League of Otaku. It would mean the absolute world to me. I would appreciate it. So thank you very much. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into the review. So, guys, chapter 329, the West arrives right on time, ready to save the day, or something like that. I don't know. This was a mouthful of a title chapter. I was like, Jesus, I have to remember all that. So, you guys remember from my last review how hype and excited I was for Stars and Stripes, this badass bitch, this female All Might looking chick. And it even gets confirmed in this chapter that she is literally the strongest woman in the world. So I am super hype. But we did not get to see her fight. So blowed. So blowed. This entire chapter, I'm just sitting there like, any moment now. Any moment now. Just give me a panel. I just want to see her do, like, she didn't even have to fight somebody. Like, a building could have been falling on someone or, like, something. And she just, whoosh. Like, I just wanted to see a little bit of her power. But anyway, this chapter starts off with All For One talking to Spinner, which, by the way, please let me know in the comments how you feel about this. I never really got the hype behind Spinner. Ever since his introduction, he's been relatively an important character, but I just feel like his quirk is kind of shit. Like, cool, he's a gecko and he can stick to walls. Like, Suyu is better, the frog chick. Like, at least like she can spit like frog. I think she can spit. She can spit like frog, a little bit of frog acid, right? I'm not confusing her with the weird slime alien pink chick, but I think Suyu can like spit a little bit of like slime from her mouth, and like she can use her tongue. Like this gecko dude, like I guess is a little bit stronger because he has amphibian genes, so he's a little bit stronger and he can stick to walls. But other than that, he's just a glorified. He is like a less cool teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle. That's how I feel. Like, and he's been getting a lot of relevance, not a lot of relevance recently. I guess this would be the only chapter. But one for all for one is talking to him and basically like, unlike the rest of them, you've been my bodyguard for quite some time, but it's time for me to utilize you in a different form. I want you to go out and help Shigaraki take on I guess Stars and Stripes. And first of all, if this woman is the strongest woman in the entire world, I don't think Spinner is helping, which makes me think that this is just some kind of ploy. There's some kind of other idea here, and we're pretty much told it in the beginning that Spinner is kind of an idol. He's kind of someone people look up to in the world. Not just like, I don't want to say it's like a bad guy or a villain, but something that we found out that is happening in the My Hero Academia universe is that people with quirks that change how they look, make them look like freaks, make them look like monsters, have been ostracized and, treated poorly in this world. Even that one chick that Midoriya saved, the one that's I believe a squirrel or a mouse, like when we first see her, she's about to be attacked by like regular people simply because she looks like a villain. And so obviously if you have these, ostracized, um these, what's the word I'm looking for here? Marginalized, oppressed people, they're going to side with the people that are representing them, that are looking out for their best interest, which hasn't been the Hero Society, which hasn't been, regular people. It's been the Paranormal Liberation Front. And as much as it like pains me to say, because I personally think that's stupid, I'm like, you don't see that they're doing all these important things, but the Paranormal Liberation Front and like one for All for One now are kind of framing it in a way where it's like we have to do these things, we have to dismantle society, we have to behave like this because they caused this. They caused this. They're the trouble. They're doing all this. It kind of reminds me of how I'm a huge fan of Marvel. Huge fan of Marvel comics. And in that like mutants are like ostracized heavily. Like it's crazy because there are a bunch of superheroes in Marvel, and people are cool with like the Fantastic Four and like Miss Marvel and all these other heroes, right? But if they find out you're a mutant, they freak out. They freak out. They literally like skeeve out. Like I remember for the longest time, people thought Spider-Man might be a mutant, and besides the hate that like the Daily Bugle gave him and like framed him for, not only that, but on top of that, but the fact that he may be a mutant was a reason that he got further hate from people. And so I kind of like the parallel with that to this, where not all quirks are created equal, not all people are seen equal, and people can just have prejudices against you simply because of how you look, and that's just something in life that'll never change. Something I've always, well, I'm not gonna get all philosopher sociologist mode, but I've always had a theory that no matter black, white, boy, girl, whatever, humans will inevitably always find some way. It's just humans are great at this. We'll find some way to divide ourselves. We'll find a way to unite ourselves with either some form of kin or like to protect ourselves, and then we'll find a way to separate ourselves from others, to either ostracize them, to make ourselves feel better, to better protect, like, just for whatever reason humans have the capacity to do this. What's her name? There's this one woman. She did the blue eyes, brown eyes experiment, and she basically treated everyone with brown eyes superior to people with blue eyes. And after a while, and she did this with kids, which is why this experiment was kind of like frowned upon by some people. But long story short, the people with brown eyes got this feeling of superiority, and they started, creating like prejudices, like, oh, blue eyes people do this. And actually, no, she did this with adults too. She did this with adults too. But like brown eyed people act like this, blue eyed people act like this, and it just becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. And so when you have all these like villains, and some of them were forced to turn this way because of how they were treated by society, kind of Joker esque. They're going to be a lot more willing to side with the criminal elements of society. Not saying I agree with it. Like a friend of mine told me, she's an avid proponent of understanding doesn't mean justifying. And I think that's the point here. I can understand what's going on. I'm not justifying it. I personally still think it's stupid, but when you marginalize the people, when you oppress the people, when you disenfranchise the people, shit like this is going to happen. And I like the way the mangaka is representing that here. Also, another thing I really liked in this chapter was the mangaka really goes out of his way to talk about how Stars and Stripes is from the land of the free, the home of heroes. And being an American, that made me kind of like, that felt really nice, because there's always been this kind of make fun of America thing, and to be real with you, I kind of get it. We're kind of head asses. We're kind of dickheads. We do really dumb shit. We're hoity-toity. We have our heads up our asses, like, and if you don't believe that, you're probably a nationalist. But like that's just kind of how it's always been. And so in manga and stuff, especially because manga is from Japan, Japan will usually tote themselves as the higher ups, the best. Like their heroes are the strongest. their stuff like that. And just the fact that they kind of gave the respect to Stars and Stripes, that she was the strongest in the world. She's from the home of heroes, the land of freedom and stuff like that. They painted America in a nice light, and Stars and Stripes really seems to be like a good person. I appreciate that. I don't know, something about that put a smile on my face. Anyway, like I said, not much really happened in this chapter. We had the conversation with All for One and Spinner. He has some kind of plan with Shigaraki. We don't know what that is. Um, all we know is that Shigaraki is going to attack Stars and Stripes, because if she is not dealt with expediently, she will ruin the plan somehow. Like, and I want to know what her power is, and I know it's not like exactly going to be like One for All, but I know that it's probably going to be akin. Like, I hope it's something like not corny, but like her belief in freedom and justice. The more she believes in freedom and justice, the more people believe in her, the more like stoic she gets. I hope it's something like obscure like that, but like translates to power, kind of similar to like One for All, where it's an obscure thing that translates to power somehow. Um, because that would be, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just super excited. Just from the moment she stepped on the panel, I was like, I want to know everything there is to know about this hero. She seems fucking dope. She seems like female All Might. We don't have All Might anymore, so this is like the next best thing. I know someone in the back of their head was like, Deku? Honestly, be real with me. You can't tell me Deku is anything like All Might. Besides their ambition, besides their want to help people, like All Might is this like larger than life figure, and like was swollen, like you just felt protected. And like Deku, I root for him, and I'm like, you can do this, but like I don't always feel protected. And I also know that he's going to struggle, and I also know that he's going to get injured. Also, with how he uses all these other quirk abilities, it's like the difference between Peter Parker, who like has all the experience and got shit done and used his brains, and then you have Miles Morales, who, while is cool in their own right and is filling the mantle, and you want to respect them and not hate on them because they have the blessing of your favorite, the mentor. They have really cheap stuff like being able to turn invisible and being able to use electro venom. And like I remember Miles Morales got introduced in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, which is my favorite universe, 1610. My absolute favorite universe, my absolute favorite Spider-Man, my absolute favorite Peter Parker. And one of Peter's greatest villains in that was Electro. Like, it took Peter everything to fight this asshole, at least the first time. The cool thing about Spider-Man is he's kind of like Batman, where if he's fought you before, he can pretty much handle you a lot easier the second time around, unless you've also adjusted yourself. And it took him a lot to take out Electro the first time. The first time Miles meets this nigga, he just fucking touches him, shorts him out. And I'm like, I mean, I guess that's just kind of a power, that's just a mismatch, but it rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, segued, lost my train of thought. Back to Stars and Stripes. So basically, he's saying that if she interferes, there's going to be a huge problem. However, if they can take her interference and use it to their advantage, he could steal her quirk, which I imagine, once again, to be a tremendous quirk if she's the strongest woman. Now, at the end of the day, it's not just your quirk, it's how you utilize it, and it's the person behind it. But I'm assuming this quirk kicks ass. So I'm very excited to see what happens here. That's literally about it. Um, and so at the very end of the chapter, Shigaraki shows up looking like a total badass, looking like he's ready to fuck shit up. And all I know is next chapter I'm getting the fight that I was waiting for, unless I'm blue balled. I don't think that's gonna happen. I skipped the moment. I skipped the part with Hawks and Best Jeanist in the car, I guess traveling to wherever Stars and Stripes is. They had Endeavor on the outside flying alongside them. Best Jeanist cracking me up. He wanted to ask her about denim in the golden era. So that was kind of funny. But like I said, not much really happened for this chapter. It was a pure setup chapter. Honestly, between me and you, I kind of found it to be lacking. It kind of felt like I want to set up this cool thing, but I don't want to give like I don't want to do anything else, and I don't like I don't know. It was a little lackluster to me. I could be totally biased just because I'm really excited to see Stars and Stripes at work, but we didn't really get a lot besides, hey, I have a plan. Spinner, you're involved in it. Shigaraki, go cause chaos, destruction, and disorder. I mean, we did get some exposition into that the countries overseas, and that the fact that if he can really put a foot like get a foothold in Japan, taking over the rest of the world will be easy. Like literally, okay, I'm not gonna lie, he did set up some really big stakes here. He did set up some really big stakes because it does kind of seem like Stars and Stripes is the last bastion. If we get her out the way, basically it would be getting rid of like All Might Part 2. Once again, excluding Deku. Once again, excluding Deku, it would be getting rid of one of the biggest things in their way. And then he would be able to work with all these other criminals all around the world that also have their respective countries in a vice. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the chapter review here for today. I know it was rather short, and I do know that I went on some segues and tangents, but I wasn't really a fan of this chapter, so I'm not gonna force myself to like put too much into it. If you think I missed anything, or if you feel like I kind of slept on this chapter, that I missed some really important exposition, and like this chapter was a lot more than meets the eye. Please let me know in the comments. I really want to talk about this. I don't purport myself to be some kind of anime expert. Not to you guys. In my head, I am. But for the sake of my show and stuff like that, I'm going to be humble. But yeah, I don't know everything. So if you think I missed something, if you think that a lot more information was given this chapter than I picked up on, I would really like to hear that. I would really like any feedback. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host, OD. Please have a great day. Like, share, and subscribe. Bang that bell. Support me. Would mean the world. Take care.